I've always trusted my instincts. That's probably why this still bothers me, because my instincts didn't just warn me that something was wrong. They told me I didn't belong there. 2 summers ago, I decided to take a solo hiking trip through a forest in Northern California. It wasn't remote wilderness. It was a known area, marked trails, occasional visitors. I wasn't doing anything reckless. About 3 hours into the hike, I left the main trail to take what I thought was a shortcut back toward the parking area. The forest was dense but manageable. I wasn't lost. At least not at first. After about 20 minutes, the trees began to thin out. I stepped into a wide clearing I had never seen before. It was perfectly circular, almost unnaturally so. No fallen branches, no uneven ground, no undergrowth, just flat earth and a ring of trees surrounding it. The air felt heavier, not hotter, not colder, just thick. I remember feeling like I had interrupted something. And then I realized something else. I couldn't remember walking into the clearing. I remembered seeing it ahead of me, but I didn't remember crossing into it. I suddenly had this overwhelming urge to leave. Not panic, not fear, just a deep certainty that I shouldn't be standing there. As I turned toward the trees, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. There was no visible opening. The direction I had come from looked exactly like every other part of the circle. No broken branches, no disturbed leaves, just an unbroken wall of trees. I walked toward one section anyway. As I approached, the distance didn't seem to change. The trees felt farther than they should have been, like perspective was slightly wrong. That's when I noticed something in the center of the clearing. A single rock. Smooth, gray, out of place. I don't know why, but I knew I hadn't seen it before. I didn't touch it. I didn't go near it. I just stood there trying to calm myself down. And then I felt it. Not a presence exactly. More like awareness. Like something had noticed me and was waiting. I don't know how long I stood there. It could have been seconds. It felt longer. Eventually, I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath, and I walked straight ahead without thinking. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the main trail. 3 hours had passed. My phone battery had dropped from 84% to 3%. I don't remember leaving the clearing. I don't remember finding the trail. I went back a month later with a friend. We searched the entire area.
This happened when I was 17. My parents owned a cabin near a large forested area in Montana. We visited every summer. I knew that place better than my own neighborhood. One evening, I decided to walk alone before sunset. It was something I'd done dozens of times. About 15 minutes from the cabin, I saw someone standing between the trees ahead. He wasn't close, but he wasn't far enough away to ignore. He was just there, facing me. I assumed it was another hiker who had wandered off trail. It wasn't unusual. I lifted my hand slightly in a polite gesture. He didn't move, didn't react. I took a few more steps. He was still there. Same position, same posture. There was something off about the proportions. I couldn't explain it at the time. He looked tall, but not in a natural way. His arms seemed too long at his sides. I stopped walking. So did he. Not in a reactive way, more like he had always been stalked. I felt embarrassed for staring, so I looked away briefly. When I looked back, he was closer. Not dramatically, but closer than he should have been. I hadn't seen him move. I didn't see him approach. He was just closer. I told myself I was imagining things. Perspective can be strange in forests. Trees distort distance, so I turned around. I walked back toward the cabin. I didn't run. I didn't want to look paranoid. About halfway back, I felt compelled to check behind me. He was there, same distance behind me as he had been in front, perfectly aligned between 2 trees, facing me. That's when I understood something. He wasn't following me. He was repositioning, like I was the one moving around him. I didn't look again after that. When I reached the cabin, I locked the door and told my dad I thought someone was in the woods. He grabbed a flashlight and went out to check. He came back 20 minutes later. He didn't say much, but he asked me one question. Did he look too tall? I never told him that part. We sold the cabin the next year.
Three of us went camping in Colorado last fall. Nothing extreme, just a weekend trip before winter. The first day was completely normal. The second day felt stretched. Time didn't feel consistent. We would sit and talk, and suddenly hours had passed without us realizing it. At one point, my friend Mark asked what time it was. It was 4:40 p.m. That didn't make sense. We had eaten lunch what felt like maybe 30 minutes earlier, but the sun had already shifted far lower than it should have. We brushed it off. Later that night, while sitting around our campsite, Jenna suddenly went quiet. She was staring at the tree line. I asked her what was wrong. She said, "How long has she been standing there?" Mark and I turned. There was no one there, just darkness between the trees. Jenna insisted she saw a woman, not moving, just watching. We assumed it was imagination. Shadows do strange things, but Jenna became distant after that. She barely spoke the rest of the night. The next morning she asked us something that made everything worse. She asked why we had been standing outside her tent at sunrise. We told her we hadn't. She said she saw two figures through the fabric, one tall, one slightly shorter, just standing there, facing her. Mark and I had slept in our own tents the entire night. We packed up early. On the drive home, Jenna was scrolling through her phone gallery. She went silent. Then she turned the screen toward us. There was a photo taken at 5:12 a.m., a picture from inside her tent, taken from her perspective, through the thin fabric. And outside, there were two silhouettes, one tall, one slightly shorter, standing side by side, facing inward. Neither of them had our proportions. The worst part? The timestamp. 5:12 a.m. Mark and I were asleep at that time, and Jenna swears she never took the photo. She says she doesn't remember reaching for her phone. None of us camp anymore, not together, not alone, because whatever was out there, it wasn't an animal.